here we are with a new comic book update. Hello everyone, my name is Veronica, aka Vespertilio. I am an Italian comic book author, tarot and oracle deck creator, and your spooky art teacher.
It's me again, yours truly.
I started this project in November 2024, so 8 months ago, and this is my comic book project. I am a comic book author. My first publications are from 2018, and I've been working as a comic artist and illustrator since then, basically. But this is actually only my second graphic novel as a complete author. I've worked on other graphic novels before, but it was always paired with a writer who would reach out to me, while this is only the second graphic novel of mine. So I'm pretty excited about this project. When I started this project, the premise was to create something out of scratch, to make a comic book out of scratch. What I mean by that is that I didn't have a written story. I only had scraps of ideas that I had collected in these past years. I had dreams of mine that I've always felt really inspiring, that I have noted down, and I've been drawing my original characters for a few years. So I decided to try Frankenstein everything into a story, inspired in fact by the game of Exquisite Corpse, which in Italian is Cadavere Squisito, and that is what gave the name to my project. I called it actually Exquisite Corpses because it is Cadaveri Squisiti, so it is plural in Italian. So I would start by drawing the pages of a specific scene or story that I had imagined before, and then I would try connect that to the next one and so on. And that has been my main process for a few months because things have changed, and we're going to talk about that. You can check out all of my previous comic book project videos in this playlist right here. So what has changed? What has happened since last time we had our comic book update? So last time we talked, I was barely over the first 30 pages of the project. It took me 7 months. Whoa, I just realized it took me 7 months for these first 30 pages because I would get so anxious about this project. For those of you who are new here, again, one of the main reasons I decided to Frankenstein this project is because due to past experiences of mine, I've always been super insecure about my storytelling abilities, about my skills as a writer, even though I literally debuted with a graphic novel that I had written. But a lot of things happened, and I was very young when I started that project. I was going 23 going 24, and then I was like not even 25 when that got published. I'm going to turn 32 this year. So a lot has happened, of course. And so I had kind of given up on that aspect of my craft. And when I started this project, I really wanted to take myself into a safe space where I could experiment and Frankenstein all of the ideas I'd been hiding for so long. But that actually didn't happen. I still didn't feel safe. I still didn't feel confident. And so I would keep putting away the project and having what I literally thought I had fought, the blank page panic. With my sketchbook, I'm like, I can start drawing, and like I never have art block sketchbook wise. I just draw. But with my comic book, I felt exactly like stage fright, where the blank page was the stage. So it took me 7 months to clock those first 30 pages. And then I basically doubled the pages in the next month. 1 month ago, I had only 34 pages done. So I was here. 1 month ago, I was like this much into the project. A month later, this much from the end of the project. Today I have done page 62. So in a month, I was able to do basically what I did in 7 months. And now the question is, how did I do it? Here's my new writer routine as someone who writes directly with drawings. I went from forcing myself to create a comic book from scratch by stitching together scenes and stories to creating a comic book from scratch, like going page by page. Let me explain this process, because I know this sounds crazy and this goes against all of the rules because you should have a structured story, then you should do all of the storyboard, you should do all of the layouts, then you should ink, and then if you you can render either with color or black and white. I'm doing everything traditionally and black and white, and my final rendering is basically cross-hatching. So this is not standard procedure at all. I'm doing another illustrated book this year. This is actually the sequel to the one I did last year, and other graphic novel projects I've done, and my tarot deck. I've never worked like this. I've always planned everything in advance and then moved to the final rendering of each piece. But now I'm doing this, and so far it's working wonderfully. But there are some things that need to be clarified about my process. So what definitely helped was finally having a deadline. And also another thing that really pushed me is the publication of a preview of my comic book. So this little preview, it is just 18 pages long, and this collects the first, let's say, chapter of this project. I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but at the beginning of this story, there is an origin story for the character of Mietitore, which is basically the Grim Reaper-like character. In fact, Mietitore is the Italian word for Reaper, actually. It is basically his origin story. That little chapter can be read as a short story. And so we decided to bring this preview with this first 18 pages, including the backstory of Mietitore, at the art festival in Rome at the end of May, and it was a huge success. I have signed at least 80 copies of my preview. When at the end of everything I realized I had done 80 people. At one point we had this huge line of people that my colleagues from the comic collective, they moved me from the booth to a little chair in the hallway because we were basically blocking the passage in front of the booth. That was crazy, but that definitely pushed me and urged me to proceed with this project because I was blocked. Let me tell you, I was blocked. So that was kind of a tough love situation. It was kind of a slap in the face from all of those people who were really excited about this project. Getting a deadline and realizing how many people cared for this project contributed to how productive I've been in this past month. Many of you asked me about the publication of this graphic novel. I do not have an international publisher. I do not have an English publisher right now. My plan is to self-publish it somehow. So it's either going to be a Kickstarter or I'm going to use some other service, and I'll let you know about it eventually. Regarding the Italian edition of the comic book, it's going to come out this fall. So the Italian edition is coming out within the year, which is crazy. For the rest, I'll need to then translate it, and I'll probably need to get an English speaker editor to check my English lettering and to check if the book works in English too. As for other languages, for right now, I haven't thought about that. I'm only focusing on the Italian edition, and then I'll move to the English edition, and then we'll see. This is all the information I can give you on this matter, basically. Other news, I have an editor now. The comic collective, which I'm going to publish the Italian edition, gave me an editor, so I'm working with an editor. We had 2 meetings by now. They went great, but the first thing that was issued was the fact that he asked me, do you know where are you going with this story? Because I know this is an experimental project and we know that we agree with you on having full liberty of stitching together stories, etc. But we need to know if you know where you are going. And the truth is that I do. Funny enough, I don't have anything written down, but I know where I'm going and I know what happens in the story. So I told everything to my editor, and he loved the story, which was such a relief because he was basically the first person to whom I told the full story, due to the fact that for so many years I've been so afraid of not being a good storyteller, a good writer, of not being able to tell a story my own way. Hearing him during our video call, hearing him was such a relief. That was the moment where I was like, okay, so this is not a waste of time and energy. It is actually going somewhere. Another publisher would have required the full story and storyboards and all of that. So they are giving me so much liberty with my project. And so yeah, that was such a relief. And now to the actual process of my comic book. As I told you, I do a page a day. No more games, let's do this. And so I think for the last 10 days of June, I did a page a day every single day non-stop. I would never skip, I would do a page a day. And I know you might be asking, yes, but how? And the truth is that I would just do it. I literally would repeat to myself, just do it. Do the best you can, but don't overthink it. You have to do a page. The hardest part is deciding what happens in that specific page, because I know what is happening scene-wise and story-wise, but the hardest part was trying to decide what to do on that page. So the actual action of the characters, are they walking? Are they talking? What are the shots? What is the composition of the layout? The trick is to not overthink it. The moment I overthink it, I fail at it. I think you're going to see it right now because I'm actually sharing with you some clips of the process of today's page, which is page 62. I made a lot of mistakes because I do sketch my pages. I do sketch the layouts because I have to, because I need to plan. It's not like my sketchbook where I sketch directly with pen and I just improvise. Now I need to plan them. And so I start with my pencil, and sometimes I define what I want to draw more with a pencil, but as in the case of this page in particular, I just slightly, roughly sketched out what I wanted to do, and then I went directly with pen. I'm showing you this because this page in particular has no spoilers at all, so it was a pretty safe page. Sometimes I share some safer pages, but at this point in the story I have to stop because everything is spoiler. The process for this page went pretty smoothly, and in that smooth process are included the mistakes. If you watch my latest video, which was the art supplies video, you know that I use this Ohuhu acrylic paint pen. This is the one with the fine tip, to correct my mistakes. Due to the fact that I mostly proceed directly with pen, even though I define things with the pencil first, I do make mistakes. And the point is that that is perfectly okay, because having to proceed without overthinking too much, literally I must do a page a day. At this point, I'm actually doing 5 pages a week because I need to get a little free time, especially because I'm about to start also with the illustrated book. I had to schedule free time, have time to live and breathe, especially because these temperatures really affect me physically and also mentally, if I have to be honest. As you are probably seeing in the process of this page, there's a lot of mistakes, and I correct them and I move on. Or sometimes I would mix it inside of the composition. Some lines I don't necessarily erase. There's a lot of trees, and in this page in particular there were a lot of lines to render the water. I didn't necessarily erase or correct everything with the white acrylic paint. I would just go on at times. What makes this process and what has made this process smooth is accepting the imperfections, is accepting that I can make a masterpiece for every single page. There are some pages of which I am extremely proud of. Like this one right here. I am so proud of this page. This spread, this double page, I am so proud of this. But what made this process smooth is also realizing that when I do pages that I'm like, oh no, this is not as good as the other one, that's okay. There are going to be pages who are just comic book pages, pages that are required to get to the other side, pages that are part of the road, bricks that build the bridge basically that is going to bring me from point A to point B, from start to finish of this story. Of course, the urgency of getting to the end of this project is something that contributed to this. Seeing how many people came to get the preview and were super excited about the project, the comic collective telling me, okay, this is your deadline. If you want it to come out this fall, you have to respect this deadline. All those things, yes, contributed. But the thing that really made this process smooth and doable is, once again, if you're a long-time watcher, subscriber of this channel, you know what I'm talking about. The secret is embracing imperfection and just moving on, not overthinking and just going to the next step. So that is really what helped me with this process. Is it always smooth and like lighthearted and happy and fun? Absolutely not. Every single day there is that moment of stage fright where I am looking at the next page like this is blank. When I turn the page now, it's just 2 blank pages, and tomorrow evening this is going to be filled. The next day, this is going to be filled. I have 2 break days. I tend to never do the break days close to each other because I notice the more I step away of the project, the harder it is to get back to it. For instance, today I'm filming this on Monday, and I might have my break day on Wednesday or on Thursday to have then another break day maybe on Sunday. If I do my break day 2 days in a row, then it is more frightening and more scary to get back to it. And there's been days where I actually failed, let's say, and when I did like 3 days in a row. And thankfully, every time, since right now I had a bit more free time, but I'm actually giving me more free time. As you know, I'm not being super active on social media and on YouTube. I'm not exactly posting once a week. And that is because sometimes I'd be working on 2 pages in a single day. This has happened a couple of times. So it's not perfect. Some days it is easy. Today was kind of, no, I'm lying. Today was normal, but not easy. There are days where it is just easy. Other days it takes me the entire day. This is the honest truth. And I'm so proud of how this is coming out. We are already talking about it's not going to look like this. As you can see, it is slightly different here. I added these little stars. I had personalized this myself. And yes, this is not typical. I'm working on a book because at the beginning this used to be a passion project. Now it is going to be actually published. But this was a passion project in the beginning, and also I wanted to see how the pages would turn and the open spreads and have control over that while I was building the story on the go. This is how I designed the cover of the preview. I think the design is going to be the same but with some differences. But the design of the body of the book, we are already talking about it, and I'm super excited. I will be obsessed. With that said, I think I yapped enough. For everyone who might watch this video and think I could never, it's not perfect, and that's the whole point. To do it despite it being imperfect and despite it being uneasy to face the fact that it's not perfect. I think that's the whole point. With that said, if you still to this point, thank you very much. I will see you very soon with more art videos. In the meantime, let's make art. Bye!